You would think that most Americans would be on board. You know, the voters are on board with this. But then you got a few whack jobs out there, like that woman out of Texas, Jasmine Crockett, who's trying to campaign and compete for AOC's position, is total weirdo. Jasmine going on some show saying that she is actually rooting for the other countries, not for us. This is a U.S. representative in the Congress, you guys, from Texas, saying she's in favor. Thank you, Steve Frischman. She is in favor of Mexico and Canada.
Really been the one to call it out. The fact that I'm rooting for Canada and I'm rooting for Mexico a lot is really wild. But they are really the ones that are speaking truth to power right now. They can see what it is. And they were like, we are not messing with this crazy regime from Mar-a-Lago, and basically calling them thugs. That's what it is. But I'm like, y'all knew who he was when y'all elected him. So don't act surprised.
Don't act surprised. My gosh. Steve Frischman, who's become a regular here on the program, thank you so much for all your generosity. Much, much appreciated. We are an independent show here, and I like it that way. I like it that way. I was just telling David, who works on the team earlier today, how, you don't sweat the small stuff here, because I don't have anybody that has to look at my scripts. I don't have to deal with any of that hierarchy or middle management insanity. It's just me and you. And I just care so much about making sure that we are as transparent as possible and we are as fair as possible. And like, I love Donald Trump 99.9% of the time, but in those times when he does something that I don't love, you're going to hear that too, because I am above all fair, and that's what I care about. And so I love having you all here. Please make sure you subscribe, share, like, make a comment, all that good stuff. It is wonderful, again, to have so many people that care so much about this stuff like I do. But listen, Jasmine is a member of our U.S. Congress, and she's out there volunteering that she's rooting for Canada. She's not rooting for the American people. I mean, Donald Trump talking about a potential DOGE dividend, that every American might get $5,000. Here he is on Air Force One speaking extemporaneously there with reporters. My gosh, we hear from him like 4 times a day. Big difference from Biden, right? Listen to what he says, and then I want to play for you what Jasmine is saying in response, and you tell me if this woman is really on the side of the American people.
Sir, Elon Musk is proposing potentially giving money to Americans based on what DOGE is finding. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I love it. A 20% dividend, so to speak, for the money that we're saving by going after the waste and fraud and abuse and all of the other things that are happening. I think it's a great idea.
How much money do you think?
Could be a lot. I mean, if it's 20%, we'd give back a lot of money to the taxpayer.
Woo! I mean, wouldn't that be great? They're talking about potentially a $5,000 check for every American. And yet Jasmine Crockett doesn't want it. And she's comparing and contrasting it to COVID, where they were just actually printing money. This is a little bit different, right? Because they're actually saving money. They're finding money in the government and they're saving it, which is very, very different than just printing money.
Now, President Trump says he likes the idea of giving some of the savings from DOGE back to Americans as kind of a dividend. Would you support that?
Listen, he's just telling a lie. He's not the one that had anything to do with the $1,200 refunds that people had during the midst of COVID. That was done by a Democratic House and Democratic Senate. Right now, what they're going to do is say, hey, we want to give you a refund, but Congress won't let us, because they already know that there's just no money for that. The only reason that those refunds came before was because we were living in different times. This was a time in which hopefully we won't ever go through again. We had a once in a lifetime pandemic. The bad part is that I don't know if it's once in a lifetime, because we know that Ebola, unfortunately, was detected right here in New York here recently. And if we continue down this road of getting rid of scientists or deciding that we don't want to rely on experts as it relates to what they're telling us to do, or we don't want to deal with vaccines and medicine in this country, then we may be facing not only our next pandemic, but our next 2, 3, or 4 pandemics because of their incompetence. So no, we are not in the business of giving out money. And honestly, I don't know what $5,000 will do for you.
Okay, Marie Antoinette. She doesn't know what $5,000 is going to do for the average American family? Wow. And she's a Democrat? She's just turning down free money? That doesn't sound like the Democrat Party to me. But you see, when it comes from the proper sourcing, which is actually saving Americans money, because you're getting rid of the bureaucracy and the fat, and there's plenty of it there in Washington, D.C., she doesn't like that. No, she doesn't like it at all. I'm telling you, she's making a run for AOC's spot for the craziest member of Congress. Here she is on another crazy show. Also ABC. That was ABC that we just saw. This is The View.
He right now has a 53% approval rating. It's higher than it's ever been. 70% believe that he's fulfilling his promises, and 45% believe Democrats should be more moderate. What do you take away? I think there's a lot to make of those numbers, but what's your takeaway from that?
My takeaway is just like the election. We've got to do better at education. People don't understand, but you will understand when those hospitals in rural America start closing down even more. You will understand when you don't have your Social Security. You will understand when your Medicaid, your Medicare goes away. You will understand as planes continue to fall out of the sky. Soon you will understand why it's important to maybe have somebody that isn't loud and ridiculous, and maybe Sleepy Joe is what we wanted because we could at least sleep at night.
Yeah, that's the truth. Amen, child.
Really? You want to go back to Sleepy Joe? Are you kidding me? I mean, Americans voted for this for a reason. Democrat Party didn't even want Sleepy Joe. For goodness sakes, they transitioned to Kamala Harris, word salad Kamala Harris. I'm telling you. Things are happening. Things are changing. And you know what, guys? This is really, really good. I mean, it's fantastic. The MAGA train has left the station. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities, specifically in the markets. It's something I talk about every day over at 76 Research, my financial research company. We just put a new piece out on gold, actually, today. You can get all this for just $1 a month for the first 2 months, and it goes to $9.95. But do check it out. 76research.com. Use code word dollar. It's a limited time offer, although I talk about it a lot on this show. Just to give you an idea, when you look at our model portfolios, they've been absolutely killing it. And it's in part because, look, I've been a financial reporter my entire career, having started actually on Wall Street at Goldman Sachs. My colleague, my co-founder, Rob Horton, spent decades running billions of dollars. Like, we kind of together know how this stuff works. And so it's important right now. It's important that, you know what, there be an opportunity for you, because no, it's not going to come from Uncle Sam. And look, Donald Trump's going to do a lot of good stuff, but ultimately, you know, it comes back to you, and you got to help provide for yourself and see that forward.